what's going on? Back with the daily vlog. So, I have to hit on a question, guys. It's very important to you and everybody that you know. And that's called health care. Matter of fact, let me just say it. Let's call it preventive health care. Alright, you taking the right shit, you sweating, you eating, you trying to stay up out the hospital. Of course, that's called preventative health care. And it's kind of hard to do, especially if you're eating a lot of foods that come out of a plastic bag or a box or prepackaged, or your prepackaged meats with just the price on it. You never see they don't give you a chance to see the butcher who packed the pork chops or something like that. So you have to buy the pre-packaged foods. Alright? Now some of that shit ain't good for you. Well, most of it is. It ain't good for you. You know? And that's necessary, you guys, because what I'm saying is eating the right foods and knowing what foods to eat, it'll help you out 100%. Like, now, I mean, and this is so cold, but now you are required. I mean, it's a requirement. It's a requirement that you take multi-supplement vitamins. And I know they're expensive, you know. Some of my vitamins, I get 200 of them, cost me $50 or some shit like that. I know they're expensive. But see, today's foods don't have enough nutrients in it for you to just, you know, exist strictly off of your diet. It doesn't have enough nutrients in it. So, you know, it's necessary for you to take a multi-supplement vitamin, you know, to help you out with your nutrition. I'm coming to find out now. Alright, if you're an African American, especially if you're an African American living in the Bay Area, you should be dead scared of going into them people's hospitals for nothing. I mean, dead scared, dude. It's almost like they got a mandate. You know what I'm saying? To kill niggas if we can get away with it coming through this door. Yeah, I said it that way, and it probably won't make it, but it seems like they do. Because I looked it up. Do you know the third leading cause of death for African Americans in the Bay Area? Do you know what that is? Hospitalization. Yeah, that's right. Now they'll try to cover up, don't say accident and all that. I say, so what if I go in the hospital and you accidentally, you know, did something wrong? Well, we'll just charge it as the accident. So you make a mistake while I'm under heart surgery, and it is not called, it'll be just called heart surgery accident. No, see, hospitalization for African Americans in the Bay Area is the third leading cause of death. So, you said, well, how can you prevent that if I have to go to the hospital? Okay, so say if you're in San Francisco, all right, I can understand emergencies, all right, but if it's say if you got, you know, you going through some cancer shit because you didn't bother to read up on the alternatives on how you can cure cancer without chemo. So say if you're doing that shit, do not take your ass to Zuckerberg. We used to call it San Francisco General Hospital. Don't do that. No. Take your ass all the way up there to Parnassus and you go to UC. Alright, you don't go to Mark Zuckerberg. You're more likely, and we call that a general tier hospital, you're more likely to come up short going into the hospital if you go there. Now I have to be more precise on this. If you go there for a gunshot wound, for Zuckerberg is the best one you want to go to. Gunshot wound, car accidents, yeah, that's the best place you want to go. But for systemic, you know, cures or elective surgeries, no. Take your ass up to UC. Go to Parnassus, take your ass up to UC. That's where you go. For complicated procedure. Yeah, that statistic surprised me. It did. You know? So, you know, and then I asked AI some specific questions. I asked AI, what is the safest place for an African American man to live in the United States or around the world? The answer first came back. It was number one, Guinea, Guam. I mean, over in Africa, Guyana, something like that. Second place was in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand. The third was Portugal. See, because in these places you get away from the good old boy network. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you wish to look at the alarming statistics of how African Americans fare when they go to the hospital compared to our white counterparts, you understand that? It's almost like you going up in the hospital with a couple of people with some Ku Klux Klan hats on, asking you if you got Obamacare. Because if you got Obamacare, we got the Obama death. That shit used to surprise me, man. It's like, alright, let's suppose I had a car, right? And I'm taking it to the mechanic shop. Now, I drove it in that motherfucker. I drove my car to the mechanic, right? I get the car and he look at it for about he said, okay, come back tomorrow. I come back tomorrow, he say the car is totaled. How can a car be totaled and I drove it in and you here to fix it? You ain't hear me though. So that's the same thing what happened in the hospital. You ever notice how most people die in the hospital now? Think about it. Back in the day, when you used to die or something, I mean, you were old, and your family and your friends got around your bed, and you used to know, I'm finna go to the graveyard, and that was it. Now, your ass is you gonna pay when you leave, you gonna pay when you're born, and you gonna pay when you leave. Because you know what they stopped doing? They stopped letting people die of old age. Now every time you can be 98 years old, and they gonna put a label on behind why you died. Instead of you just saying, oh, he died of old age, they gonna put it down. You're 98 years old and she died of heart failure, or you're 98 years old and she died of liver failure. Come on, man. At a certain age, the whole birth certificate, the whole death certificate should say old age. Period. Not no respiratory failure. Not no, you know what I'm saying? But they gotta get paid. You understand? So you walking in there, they can switch up. Look, I'm gonna tell you something, look it up. The third leading cause of death for Bay Area. I didn't do the national, I think the national is a little bit higher. But the third leading cause of death for the black person is hospitalization. Yeah. Yeah. And which made it so bad for the African American. Look, even when I'm over here and I'm filling out a medical form to go see somebody, and then they have a specific question on that medical form saying, are you African American? So if you African American, they got a whole nother, list. Like you have to be on this special list. So then I asked. And in Thailand, they never answer you. The doctors are curious too. And they said, we wanted to know that too. So we asked. He said, because the African American male, or the African American in America, is placed under so much stress to where they more prone to high blood pressure and all the diseases that coincides with living in a stressful environment. So we are more apt to have high blood pressure. We're more apt to have bouts of depression. We're more apt, Because look here, when you depressed, or when you depressed and stressed, we have a tendency of eating salt. So that's why every liquor store you go into in the black community, you got 10 different goddamn kind of potato chips. You know what I'm saying? You got dill pickle. You got to have that salt to deal with that stress. You know what I mean? So, because I didn't know. I'm over here when I had my when I had some work done, you know, over in Vietnam. Even that communist country asks you. They have this medical sheet. You know, if you're African American, then once you answer yes, and then it's a whole nother series of questions. Like, is there a history of heart disease in your family? Is there a history of diabetics? You know, do you have any history? Because basically, they trying to say this stress shit is genetic. You hear me? We've been stressing you ancestors and you niggas out for the last 400 years. So, you know what I mean? So, right now, you have to remember this. They've been trying to weed out the herd on us, and they have. They brought us down. We were once 25% of the population. Then we came down to 10% of the population. Now I think we less than 5 or less than 2, some shit like that. So yeah, it's the survival of the fittest. All right, so that's what I'm saying, you guys. Spare no expense on your health, man. Alright, so you have to get past the Monsantos. That's the seed company. You know what them seed company did? They allowed people, alright, they took out all the female plants. That's right, so you cannot make seeds. So anytime you want to grow something, you got to go back to Monsantos and buy their seeds. Your crops cannot produce seeds no more. At any time you eating on a watermelon and they got no seeds in it, anytime, look, stop eating those foods, those fruits that they try to sell you with no seeds in them. Alright, that's modically genetic. You ain't getting no nutrients out of that shit. Yeah, that's my public service announcement, man, for the day. I gotta sit here in this jacuzzi tub on this one. I gotta take 2 because I'm using baking soda and sea salt. You know, scratch my saying. Plus, yesterday I think I had too many Long Island iced teas. So I need to be in here steaming out, you know, your alcohol and shit, and drinking water and drinking these coconuts I got up here. Because that's what a lot of things some people don't do, y'all. They don't sweat. You know, a lot of people don't sweat. I have to perspire at least 3 times a week. At least. If I ain't breaking a sweat at least 3 times a week, something's wrong. You end up like that pig, because a pig can't break a sweat, man. You know, that's why he's a filthy beast. It tastes good, motherfucker, but he's a filthy beast because he don't have any sweat glands. You know? So, that's about it. I'm too lazy to turn off this camera, so my editor, God bless her soul, she gonna have to edit the way, you know, it feels fit. And she keep telling me, she said, Mark, when you talk, stop putting your hands up in front of the camera. That's because sometimes we be wanting the little translator to say the words. But if I'm covering it with my mouth, then it's kind of, you know, I don't want to do that. Oh, jeez. So yeah, you guys, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Try intermittent fasting. So, okay, now, the doctors told me here, well, it was in Vietnam, but they all have very, very extensive medical campuses. I mean, with the latest tech. You would think third world country, right? No, latest. Wait, the doctor told me after my last colonoscopy last August, he told me I don't have to do them no more, because I used to have to do them every 10 years, no, every 5 years, then it went down every 10 years. Well, this is the last one. He said, you don't have to come no more. And he also told me this. He said, all you got to do is hold on. All right, stay in generally good shape. Don't stress out your body too much. And I said, what you mean, stress out your body? He said, stress is stress. He said, I don't care if it comes from, you know, you lifting weights, you know, or you not sleeping right. He said, try not to stress. He said, I ain't telling you not to lift no weights. He said, just don't make it a routine where you stressing your body out trying to maintain that function. He said, because I'm going to tell you why. He said, with the advent of AI and the new medical technology, we're going to be able to cure 97 of shit that we said we can't cure now. Now, he didn't put it to me in those terms, but he said medical technology is advancing so at a rapid rate, whereas we're going to be able to cure 97% of what people are dying from right now. He said, in fact, we do got the knowledge right now to initiate it. He said, but there are two moral compositions that we have to look at. One, without a natural predator, people will just keep multiplying like roaches. And you have to remember this. Human beings are an invasive species on planet Earth. We are. We are the invasive species on planet Earth. Why? Because we don't have any fur, we don't have any fins, and we don't have any feathers. We was not equipped or adapted to be on this planet. And you can tell because the natural order of things that was adapted to be on this planet, we put in zoos. We take over their land. We get mad at a lion for being a lion. You remember that tiger jumped out of that zoo in San Francisco, killed them boy because they was teasing that motherfucking tiger? You hear me? And the tiger didn't kill nobody else but the motherfuckers that was teasing him. You didn't hear me though. Look here, we are the invasive species. So yeah, I can tell you right now, they got medical technology, nigga, that'll overcome most of all your cancers now. You dig what I'm saying? So, but they're not gonna allow you to get hold of that technology, you know, unless you got money. See, because everybody's looking for that one pill fix all. Now I'm pretty sure they working on it. It's called the nanobot pill, where they can design a capsule, right, that'll seek out and hunt out specifics of what that capsule's supposed to do with little nanobot technology. And after it's finished, you secrete it out of your waste. So just hold on. Stack up your cash, then get ready. You know what I mean? Oh, now, if you do have the money and you have to do a serious operation and you are in America, hop down there to El Salvador. El Salvador has become one of the most safest motherfucking countries in South America right now. They have adapted Bitcoin as a part of their national currency. Most of all your Afro-American, most of all your Afro doctors that came out of Cuba took up residency in El Salvador. They had to leave Venezuela, so they took up residency in El Salvador. So now you got a bunch of well-educated black doctors that you can go see. See, because that's what Cuba was, man. You know, why are we taking over? Cuba has no natural resources. Their people, Cuba's people are the natural resources. That's the most educated Caribbean island there. They're the most educated people. So their resources are themselves. They're doctors, you know. They have army tacticians. I'm serious, man. Cuba's fascinating. Hope we can get through this stupid shit so you guys can go over there and get proper medical care. Because you ain't getting no proper medical care from the good old boys back in the good old days of the hospital. So, hey, my dear. I have to order some more water. Now, see this right here. I need some more fresh water. Electrolyte mix.
Would you want it in the restaurant?
Water. Oh, yeah. And I still got the coconut now. Don't get it wrong. You put the lime in the coconut and drink a marla. Well, I don't want to let this video go on too long. I'm going to sit back and look at some news on this TV I got behind y'all. What's up? Here's the remote. And people saying, well, how you gonna tell them you got glasses on? But these are prescription glasses, man. I be having to look at the TV. Plus, I be reading your comments on my phone. It ain't like I'm trying to be cool in the tub. You know, these are prescription glasses, yeah. You can tell I'm farsighted. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's enough.